today. My name is Kim. I'm coming at you live from 21st Yoga in Salt Lake City, Utah. And I'm going to be leading you through a restorative yoga practice today. I'm really, really excited to share this practice with you. It is a time for us to pause, to slow down a little bit, and to really use the body as kind of an anchor to the present moment experience. And so feeling into the breath moment by moment. And I'll get a little bit into that later. But I'd like for you to take a moment, if you could, to gather some props around you for this practice. So this is a yoga bolster, and we're going to be using this for our practice. If you do not have a bolster, that's just fine. You can grab a firm pillow or a couch cushion, or you could even wrap a rolled up yoga mat in a blanket, kind of use that. So that's first thing. You're going to need a strap. This is a yoga strap. If you do not have a strap, you could use a belt or even a towel. We're going to be doing some stuff reclined today. These are yoga blocks. We're going to be using these, or at least having them available to us. If you do not have blocks, you can use books or even like canned goods if they're like bigger, or like a short table, so you can use that, and a blanket. And an eye pillow, if you like to put this over your eyes for some of our reclined positions that we'll be doing today. So some people like to cover the yoga mat in a blanket because we are going to be doing some poses reclined. And even sitting, sometimes it's nice to have a little bit extra cushion for the spine or the knees or the sits bones. So you could take one of your blankets and cover your mat if you like. This is just an option. And if you're doing this, you might want to have another blanket handy. And for our practice today, I am going to be weaving in a little bit of poetry. If you've been to my classes in the past, you know that I love poetry. I love to involve it into the practice. So I've got my trusty books here: little David White, little John O'Donohue, Rumi, Mary Oliver. So we'll feel into that. So to start our practice, what I'd like for you to do is find a comfortable reclined position. And if you do like to listen to music during your practice, you can put on maybe some soft ambient music. I'm not going to be playing music during our practice today. So you'll find a comfortable reclined position. I would suggest that you take a bolster underneath your knees, something like this, or you could roll up your blanket and put it underneath your knees and just recline here onto your back. Maybe something similar to what you would set up for Shavasana. We're going to take a little dessert first in our practice. And if you'd like to bring a little bit of extra padding behind the head, you can use your extra blanket for that. Okay, so why don't you go ahead and get arranged in a comfortable position on your back. And if you, well, as you're settling in, just take your time here. Get the props that you need, get settled. Just take a moment here at the beginning of our practice to feel into the body. You can feel the back body making contact with the earth, with the ground. And notice the areas of your body that are connected to the earth. And from this place of grounding and stability, can you allow the body to soften? And you release and relax through the jaw and the neck and the shoulders, the muscles of your face. Soften through the belly, and just allow the breath to expand and to open up into the belly, into the chest. And release. And relax and release through the pelvis and the hips. And down into the legs and into the feet. Giving your body full permission to arrive here in your practice. Maybe this is the first opportunity that you've had in a while just to pause and to breathe deeply, to get off of your phone or social media and just to be here with your breath. And opening up our practice this morning with an ancient Sanskrit poem. Look to this day, for it is life. The very life of life. In its brief course lie all the realities and truths of existence. The joy of growth, the splendor of action, the glory of power, the sweetness of love, and the exquisite pain of loss. For yesterday is but a memory, and tomorrow only a vision. But today, well lived, makes every yesterday a memory of happiness, and every tomorrow a vision of hope. Look well, therefore, to this day. And again, feeling the presence of the breath here in the body. And we'll stay here for between 5 and 10 more breaths in this chosen beginning posture for you. And continuing to allow the body to soften and to relax, to release to the earth. And letting go of resistance or struggle or even striving. And if the mind starts to wander, starts to create stories, starts to get distracted, that's okay. Just notice and then invite your attention back into the breath and the body. And on your next in-breath, I'd invite you to extend the arms up and back alongside your ears and stretch the legs out, reaching through the toes and reaching the fingertips up. So a lot of you have your legs up and over a bolster, and that's okay. Just stretch out the body and lengthen. And then as you exhale, let's release the arms back down along your sides. And take a moment to shift your bolster to the side and hug both knees into the chest. And just rock a little bit here, side to side. And make sure your head and your neck are relaxed, supported. And you might draw a little circle here with your knees. So you're creating a little gentle circle of pressure around your lower back and your sacrum, lumbar spine. And then pause and just go the other direction, moving the knees the other way. That gentle massage around the low back. Good. And then let's go ahead and release the knees and bring the soles of the feet to the ground. And the arms can just relax down along your sides, or you might just let your hands rest gently on the lower belly. And see if you can draw your breath down into the lower belly and into the lower back. And in just a moment, we're going to invite just a little bit of movement here, rocking the pelvis back and forth. And this is very similar to like a cat-cow movement, but will be, of course, reclined on our backs. And so on your in-breath, you're going to move the pelvis forward, the pubic bone drawing down away from the navel, and you'll feel the lower back lift and arch away from the floor very gently. And then as you exhale, you'll press your low back into the floor and draw the pubic bone toward the navel, a slight tucking of the tailbone. Okay? And then as you inhale again, rock the pelvis the other way. So you're lifting the low back, arching it away from the floor. Pubic bone moves down. And then on exhale, press low back into the floor and anchor the feet, curl the tailbone up a little bit. And then will you gently move back and forth, this gentle rocking of the pelvis, and you might feel some nurturing movement and sensation around the low back. And this movement does not have to be huge. It can be really subtle. Moving in a way that feels nurturing and attentive and kind to your body. So we're going to take just a couple more breaths in this way, moving back and forth. Good. And then just take a moment to pause, let that movement go. We're going to stretch the arms out wide and let the palms face up. The feet might go a little bit wider than your hips, maybe to about the edge of your mat. And take a full breath here. And then as you exhale, let's allow both knees to drop over to the right. It's like a set of windshield wipers. And let's pause here for a breath. If it feels okay to your neck, you could turn your head to your left. And for a little extra stretch, you could cross your right foot and ankle over top the left leg. Just hang out here for another breath or two. And allowing the hips and the pelvis to shift with this twist. And then you'll bring the knees back up through center and allow both knees to drop to the left and maybe turn your head to your right if that's okay for your neck. And give this a couple of breaths, and again you might pick up your left foot and ankle, let it rest on top of that outer right leg. No pressure to do that, just an option. And then after a couple breaths here, come back through center. And I'd like for you to explore this movement for a few more rounds of breath on your own. This reclined windshield wiper movement. The feet stay wide. You're just rolling from the outer edge of one foot and the inner edge of the other, back and forth. And the head can again turn the opposite way. Good. And we'll take just a couple more breaths here, exploring movement and gentle range of motion through the hips and through the low back. Good. And bring your knees back up through center, and you'll extend the left leg out to the floor and hug the right knee in toward your chest. And as you pull the knee in toward the chest, you might take the knee a little bit out to the right and up toward the shoulder. Start to feel into this right hip joint. And you can move the knee around in a circle. You can do this with your hands manually, or you could move the leg a little more freestyle on its own. But exploring some movement and opening through the right hip joint. And pause and just go the other direction. Nothing forced in the body, so you can keep the rest of your body pretty relaxed here on the mat or your blanket. Good. And then will you take just a moment to locate your strap or whatever you're using for your strap. And you're going to extend the right leg, the right foot up into your strap and extend the right leg up toward the ceiling. You can hold the strap either one hand to each side of the strap or one hand around both ends. It just depends on what feels best to you. Make sure the neck is relaxed and we're not straining the neck or the jaw to lift up. Let the head rest on the ground. And from here, I'd like for you to explore just a little bit of movement through the right leg. Okay, so you can take the leg a little bit side to side or front to back or in a circle. And using as much or giving the strap as much slack as you need here. The leg doesn't have to be all the way straight. It can be a little bit bent. And we're not trying to max out our deepest place or deepest stretch here. See if you can find a happy medium. And then we're going to hold on to both ends of the strap with the right hand. Stretch the left arm out to the left and open your right leg out to the right for a few breaths. If you happen to have a bolster or a block or something handy here, you can let your leg rest on. It's fine. Or you can just hold the strap sturdy. And again, exploring that gentle opening and range of motion. We'll give this a couple more breaths here. Good. And then take your leg back up through center, and you're going to switch hands. So take the strap with your left hand, reach the right arm out to the right, and start to guide your right leg over. Now, you don't need to come into a twist. You can come into this kind of IT band stretch, the outer right leg, the space between the hip and the knee. Or you could take this over to your left hip into more of a twist. You can just feel into your own body and what feels best to you. We're not going to be here for too long. And continue to draw that right hip down, the sits bone down toward kind of that bottom end of your mat. Take 2 more breaths here, kind of acknowledging your boundaries, your edges. And then bring your right leg back up through center. And we're going to release the strap, put it to the side, bend both knees, bring the soles of the feet to the ground, cross your outer right ankle over top of the left leg. So a lot of you are familiar with this posture. It is a reclined pigeon. So let's start just by pressing into the right thigh, like you're trying to press that right femur down away from you, feeling into the crease of your right hip, and maybe a little bit of traction in your lower back. And you can keep it right here. You could rock this side to side. Or you could pick up your left foot, pull this whole shape toward you, reach your hands through, clasp your hands around that left leg. Or one great option is to take the block or even a bolster and place the left foot up on your block as a happy medium. Okay, make sure that your neck and your jaw are relaxed here. There's no straining to reach for the leg. If you happen to be by a wall, you could go to a wall, place your left foot on the wall, and it just provides a really nice container and boundary for your hip opener here. So we'll hang out here for a few more breaths. See if you might draw the breath down into the area of sensation in the body. Your right hip joint, your buttock muscle, wherever you might be experiencing the most sensation here. Let's take about 3 more breaths. And on your last exhale here, will you send a sigh out your mouth and just let it cleanse and release, let it go. And let's release the legs, stretch the legs out to the floor, and reach the arms up and back alongside the ears, and Reach from top to bottom. And then arms come back down. And we'll take a moment just to hug the left knee in toward the chest and do this sequence on the other side. Okay, so the left knee hugs in. Pull your left knee out to the left a little bit and up toward the shoulder. And you can start to feel here into this left hip joint. And then you'll start to circle the knee around and exploring that movement and range of motion. Again, you can do this more freestyle, moving the leg on its own, or using the hands to manually move the leg. And then pause and go the other direction. Again, allowing the body to be at rest and grounded. Good. Bring it back through center. You'll take a hold of your strap or whatever you're using as your strap and extend this left leg up into your strap and start to feel into the left hamstrings and whatever there is to be felt or experienced here in the left leg. And you can explore a little bit of movement here, a little bit of movement of the leg side to side or in a gentle circle. Maybe bend and straighten. Again, the leg doesn't have to be all the way straight. Just feel into your edge. Nothing forced or aggressive or harsh in this practice. And then we will hold on to this strap, both ends of the strap, with your left hand and take the right arm out to the right. And open this left leg out to the left just for a few breaths. Again, if you have something to rest your leg on, even a wall or block or bolster or stack of books, whatever you've got. And just feel here into the left hip, hip flexor and groin. Take another breath. And then draw your left leg back up through center. You will switch hands. Right hand holds on to both ends of the strap. Left arm out to the left. Start to guide your left leg over just a little bit. You can stop right here and just feel into the sensation around the outer left leg, IT band, and that space between the hip and the knee. Or you could roll over into more of a twist and taking the foot over to the side or resting it on something that you have available. So a couple more breaths here. We won't stay here for too long. Breathing in and around this left leg and hip. And let's draw the left leg back up. Take one more breath here. And then we're going to release the strap and bring the soles of both feet back to the ground. And just as we did on the other side, pick up the left foot, cross the outer ankle over top of the right leg. Now the left hand can press into the left thigh, pressing the femur down, away from the body, opening up that crease of the left hip. You can move this side to side, keeping it there. Or, as we talked about on the other side, you could pick up the right foot, reach your hands through and clasp. Or take a hold of one of your blocks and place your right foot on your block. Good. You could move to a wall and set up for that container. So take your time and make sure you're not stressing the neck or the jaw or the muscles of your face in order to grab the leg. Just feel whatever there is to be felt and experienced here around the left hip. And see if you might draw the breath down into that space. I'm going to give this about 3 more breaths. So let's go ahead and send that exhale out the mouth. Let it cleanse and release. Let it go. And then we'll release out of that shape, stretch both legs out to the floor, reach the arms up and back and lengthen. Stretch from top to bottom. We're going to transition over to our right side into just a little fetal position here for a moment. And then as gently, as easily as you can, let's make our way back up to an upright position. And I'd like for you to shift to the hands and the knees. And so this might be a good time to get some padding underneath your knees if you don't already have your blanket spread out over your mat. So as you come forward to the hands and the knees, let's start to move a little bit here through the spine, through some gentle cat-cow. So inhaling and opening up the heart, little lift of the tailbone, and then rounding of the spine, tucking the tail, chin to chest. And then inhale to open. And exhale to round the spine. Good. You can continue with this movement back and forth. Or you could take it a little bit deeper, maybe coming all the way into child's pose and resting there for a moment. Or you could even come all the way down onto your belly and taking Sphinx pose, opening the chest. You could also choose to move the hips a little bit side to side or in a circle. So we're going to continue with this movement for maybe 10 to 15 more breaths. And I'd like for you to just explore movement, breath, sensation in your own body. And if it's the best thing for you to sit all the way into child's pose and just hang out there, by all means, you can work with that. Or you could even go up into a downward dog and stretch it out there. Take your time and use the next few breaths to really tune into your body and trusting your body's intuition, its wisdom, and feeling into that moment to moment and breath to breath. And take one more full breath here, finishing out whatever movement you're working with. And then I'd like for you to grab your bolster or whatever you're using as your bolster, and you will place it to about the middle of your mat like this. This is one of my favorite lower back stretches. And what we're going to do is rest the lower belly and the hip bones and even the upper thighs over the bolster, and let it traction out gently the lower back and that lumbar spine. Okay, so you'll come up and over the bolster like this and let your chest and your head come down. So this is the basic posture. Now, one additional thing that you might do is take your blanket, if you have an extra one, and make a little roll. So, and depending on what kind of blanket you have, roll it up and place it at the very back of your mat like this. And that will be a little resting place to catch the tops of your feet and your ankles. Okay, so you can add that little extra embellishment if you want to. Pelvis, low belly over the bolster. The arms can just frame around the head. If that doesn't feel good to turn your head one direction, you could crisscross your forearms, try to let your head rest on your arms, or whatever way feels most accessible to you. And just allow the body to rest here with the belly down. There can be really nurturing, kind of comforting energy, having the belly down on the earth. This is one of my favorite poems by Rumi. And I'd just like to share it with you as you continue to allow the body to rest and to settle here with the belly down. Learn the alchemy that true human beings know. The moment you accept what troubles you've been given, the door will open. Welcome difficulty as a familiar comrade. Joke with torment brought by the friend. Sorrows are the rags of old clothes and jackets that serve to cover, then are taken off. That undressing and the beautiful naked body underneath is the sweetness that comes after grief. The hurt you embrace becomes joy. Call it to your arms where it can change. A silkworm eating leaves makes a cocoon. Each of us weaves a chamber of leaves and sticks. Silkworms begin to truly exist as they disappear. Inside that room, without legs, we fly. And when I stop speaking, this poem will close and open its silent wings. If you're in a position here to just gently turn your head the other direction and to take a few breaths here, stretching out the other side of the neck, you can work with that. Or just keep it as it is, and we'll stay here in this belly down position for about 10 to 20 more breaths. Noticing if there is a way for your body in this moment to be just a little bit more relaxed or at rest or at ease. That undressing and the beautiful naked body underneath is the sweetness that comes after grief. Taking just a couple more breaths here. So as you are ready, we're going to gently make our way back upright and set up for a supported back bend or heart opener. And I like to call this goddess pose. So I'm going to show you a few options. You're going to turn the bolster the other direction or whatever you're using as a bolster. Might want to unroll your blanket and maybe fold it up so it looks something like this. Place it at the base of your bolster. And you'll sit on your blanket like this. Scoot right up against the very end of your bolster so there's no gap. And then recline onto your bolster, opening up the shoulders and the heart. The legs can be stretched out, or you can bring the soles of your feet together into what's called Baddha Konasana. You can work with this. If this feels like it's too much for your lower back or your shoulders, you might want to take your blocks, place them into a little T shape, and let your bolster come at like a ramp, a slight incline. And this will elevate your head and your shoulders a little bit higher than your hips and your pelvis. So it'll look like this. Little lounge chair position. Okay, still opening up the shoulders and the heart here. And letting the body surrender in this way. So take a moment to get your props arranged for either goddess pose or the heart opener of choice. And letting the body soften and relax here. There's a quality in this posture of surrender, of receptivity, of opening, allowing things to be as they are. This is a really beautiful poem by David White called Sweet Darkness. It's a good old standby. It's one of his classics. When your eyes are tired, the world is tired also. When your vision has gone, no part of the world can find you. Time to go into the dark, where the night has eyes to recognize its own. There you can be sure you are not beyond love. The dark will be your home tonight. The night will give you a horizon further than you can see. You must learn one thing. The world was made to be free in. Give up all the other worlds, except the one to which you belong. Sometimes it takes darkness and the sweet confinement of your aloneness to learn. Anything or anyone that does not bring you alive is too small for you. Sometimes it takes darkness and the sweet confinement of your aloneness to learn. Anything or anyone that does not bring you alive is too small for you. Continue to expand your breath into your chest, into your heart space and the fronts of the shoulders, sides of the neck. We'll take about 10 more breaths here in your supported back bend or heart opener of choice. And for the last few breaths here, you can stretch the arms up and back, maybe reach up and over the bolster and lengthen. And start to transition over to one side and then back upright to your seat. So we are going to, in just a moment, begin our setup for our last posture, which is Shavasana, corpse pose. I know this restore class goes fast, especially an hour. So before we do that, if there's any other posture or movement that you'd like to take before setting up for Shavasana. So you could always come back to some cat-cow movement, hands and knees. You could come to child's pose. You could work with thread the needle, a little shoulder stretch here, downward facing dog, cobra pose. So take a few breaths to work into whatever last movement might make sense for you, for your practice. And whenever you're ready, you'll go ahead and set up for Shavasana, corpse pose. If you notice here, I've arranged the blocks and bolster in what we call the Stonehenge, placing the blocks on their ends and then the bolster over the top of the blocks. So this will elevate your bolster to some degree. If you don't have blocks or a bolster, you could use a chair or even the edge of a couch for this. That works well, because what we're going to do is just let the legs rest up and over this structure. And this is just an option. You can set up however you'd like here. Maybe a little extra padding at the back of the head and opening up the palms. If you have a wall handy and you want to take your legs all the way up the wall, coming into Viparita Karani, you could do that. So if you happen to have your eye pillow, you can grab a hold of that, or even just something to gently rest over the eyes and work with that. And settling into Shavasana, corpse pose. And allowing the body to rest here, and to completely relax, to dissolve tension or angst or worry. Allow it to just melt into the earth. You can come into a really steady and gentle, even breath in the body. And taking these last several minutes of our practice to completely relax and release, to surrender. This is a blessing for loneliness by John O'Donohue, Irish a theologian and poet, author. When the light lessens, causing colors to lose their courage, and your eyes fix on the empty distance that can open on either side of the surest line to make all that is familiar and near seem suddenly foreign. When the music of talk breaks apart into noise and you hear your heart louden, while the voices around you slow down to leaden echoes, turning the silence into something stony and cold. When the old ghosts come back to feed on everywhere you felt sure, do not strengthen their hunger by choosing fear. Rather, decide to call on your heart, that it may grow clear and free, to welcome home your emptiness, that it may cleanse you like the clearest air you could ever breathe. Allow your loneliness time to dissolve the shell of dross that had closed around you. Choose in this severe silence to hear the one true voice your rushed life fears. Cradle yourself like a child, learning to trust what emerges, so that gradually you may come to know that deep in that black hole you will find the blue flower that holds the mystical light, which will illuminate in you the glimmer of springtime. Choose in this severe silence to hear the one true voice your rushed life fears. Cradle yourself like a child, learning to trust what emerges, so that gradually you may come to know that deep in that black hole you will find the blue flower that holds the mystical light, which will illuminate in you the glimmer of springtime. You feel your breath in your body. Allow the breath to expand a little bit more into the belly, into the chest, into your heart space. You can start to bring a little bit of movement and life back into the body, moving through the fingers and the toes and stretching a little bit. If it feels good to you, you can reach the arms up and back and lengthen. You'll make your way gradually over to your side, taking a few moments in fetal position on your side. This nurturing pose here. And then gradually make your way back up to your seat. And let's take just a moment here, opening up the palms. You could rest the hands, palms up on the knees or on the side, on the thighs. Just really allowing yourself to receive your practice and whatever you've offered here for yourself. In this kind of open palmed posture of receptivity. And then join the hands together, anjali mudra, in front of your heart. Thank you so much for practicing with me today, everybody. We'll finish together with one round of Om, if you'd like to join in. Take a full breath in. Namaste.